Right now, somewhere, a scientist is staring out a window, bored, doing nothing. And that boring, lazy moment might be the most productive thing they do all day. For centuries, we've been told that laziness is a flaw and boredom is something to avoid at all costs. Fix it, scroll past it, fill it with a screen. But new research says the opposite. Being lazy and even being bored on purpose might be two of the smartest things a human brain can do. Stick with me, because by the end of this video, you might feel differently about your next quiet, boring afternoon. Here's a story most of us grew up with: work hard, rest little, and success will come. Busy equals good, rest equals lazy. And boredom? Boredom is treated like a problem to solve immediately. With your phone, with noise, with anything except silence. This idea didn't come from biology, it came from culture. A few hundred years ago, many societies started connecting hard work with moral goodness. If you worked all day, you were seen as a good person. If you rested, or worse, admitted you were bored, some people judged you as weak or lazy or wasting your life. That idea never really left us. Today we live in a world that praises being busy and treats boredom like an emergency. The moment we feel bored, most of us reach for a phone before we even notice we're doing it. Companies celebrate employees who never stop. Social media is full of quotes like "hustle harder." But here's the strange part. Humans are not machines. Machines can run non-stop if you keep feeding them power. Human brains cannot. And the more scientists study laziness and boredom, the more they discover something surprising. Doing nothing is not doing nothing. Feeling bored is not a waste. Your brain is still working, just in a different way. And that different way might be exactly what makes humans so creative, so adaptable, and so good at solving problems no other animal can solve. So maybe laziness and boredom aren't the enemies of productivity. Maybe they're hidden ingredients inside it. Let's go back a very long time, long before phones, before cities, before farming. Early humans lived where food was hard to find. Every calorie mattered. Waste energy on something unnecessary and you might not have enough left for the next long hunt. So the human body evolved a simple rule: don't waste energy unless you have to. That's why your brain looks for the easiest way to do things. It's not because you're broken, it's because saving energy kept your ancestors alive. Boredom evolved for a different job. Your brain's built-in alarm system saying, "This isn't giving you enough value, go find something better." Without it, early humans might have kept doing the same unhelpful task forever, instead of exploring or learning new skills. So laziness saves your energy. Boredom pushes you to spend it smarter. Together they work like a thermostat, one cooling you down, the other heating things up when it's time to search for something new. In the modern world, these ancient instincts clash with modern life. We no longer need to hunt, but our brain runs the same programs, which can look like procrastination or an urge to check your phone the second things get quiet. So when you feel lazy or bored, those feelings aren't weaknesses. They're millions of years of evolution still running in the background, trying to protect and guide you. Here's where it gets interesting. Scientists once believed that when your brain isn't focused on a task, it basically shuts down, like an engine turning off at a red light. But brain scans tell a different story. When your mind wanders staring at the ceiling, bored in a waiting room, or lying in the bath, a network called the default mode network becomes active. It's behind both laziness and boredom, and it handles some of our most important mental work, connecting old ideas in new ways and being creative. Psychologist Sandy Mann gave people a boring task copying numbers from a phone book before asking them for creative uses for 2 plastic cups. The bored group came up with more original ideas than the group that skipped it. Boredom pushes your brain to search harder, and that search often produces creativity. This explains a strange pattern in history. Many breakthroughs didn't happen at a desk. They happened on a slow walk, a boring shower, or right before falling asleep. Isaac Newton is said to have thought about gravity sitting quietly under a tree. Darwin built a path near his house just for slow, aimless walking, and used it daily while forming his biggest ideas. Laziness gives your brain permission to stop. Boredom gives it a reason to start searching. Together, they create exactly the conditions where unexpected ideas tend to appear. It's not just old stories about scientists. Modern research backs this up too. Psychologists have studied the incubation effect. People are given a hard problem. One group works non-stop. Another takes a break, doing something easy and boring before returning to it. Again and again, the break group performs better. Their brains kept processing the problem quietly in the background, and the answer came faster and more creatively. There's also research on attention. The brain can hold intense focus for around 90 minutes before performance drops. Push rush past that without a break, and you get more mistakes even while feeling like you're trying harder. Some workplaces that tested shorter hours or mandatory breaks found output didn't drop, in some cases it rose. Fewer hours mixed with real rest beat long hours full of half-focused effort. This challenges an old belief that more hours always equal more results. Quality of focus matters more than quantity of hours, and quality of focus depends on real recovery, including the quiet, slightly boring kind most of us try to avoid. So if rest and boredom matter this much, why do we still feel guilty about them? Part of the answer is hustle culture, a mindset that treats constant work and stimulation as a badge of honor. It tells us that if we're not working, we're falling behind, and if we're bored, we're wasting time. But ignoring what your brain needs has a cost. Burnout is a widely recognized problem. Exhaustion from work that never stops, and a mind never allowed to sit quietly. People experiencing it feel drained even while working and consuming more content than ever. Many of us have also lost our tolerance for boredom. Every idle moment gets filled instantly with a phone, so the brain never gets the quiet space it needs to wander and generate new ideas. Ignoring your need for rest and boredom doesn't make you more productive, and it often does the opposite. People who protect real downtime, including a little boredom, often outperform those who never stop simply because their brains aren't running on empty. Before you use this as an excuse to cancel every plan and stare at a wall all week, let's be honest. Not all laziness or boredom is helpful. There's a difference between resting on purpose and avoiding something out of fear. There's also a difference between healthy, undistracted boredom and the restless boredom of endless scrolling that never actually satisfies you. This isn't saying never work hard, never stay entertained. It's saying effort and rest, stimulation and boredom are partners, not enemies. All work and no rest leads to burnout. All stimulation and no boredom leaves no space for original thought. The real skill is noticing what your brain needs in the moment instead of automatically reaching for a screen. So should you just sit around all day, bored and lazy, and expect great things to happen? Not exactly. The key idea isn't avoid all effort and stimulation, it's make room for real rest and real boredom on purpose. Scientists call this productive rest. Resting and being bored deliberately so your brain can do the background work that leads to better ideas later. Here are a few simple ways to apply this. First, take real breaks, not fake ones. Scrolling doesn't give your brain true rest because it's still processing information. A short walk or sitting quietly gives your mind the space it needs. Second, protect time for boredom instead of instantly escaping it. Try leaving your phone in another room during small idle moments like waiting in line. It feels uncomfortable at first, but that's often where new ideas begin. Third, respect your focus limits. Instead of forcing hours straight, work in focus blocks with short, real breaks. Finally, stop feeling guilty about rest and boredom. They're not the opposite of a full life, they're part of it. High performers who seem effortless are usually also protecting time to recover and to simply be bored. So maybe it's time to rethink both laziness and boredom, not as flaws to hide, but as tools your brain has been using since the beginning of human history. The nap, the walk, the boring afternoon with nothing scheduled, these aren't signs of failure. They might be exactly what lets your brain do its best thinking later. Next time you feel lazy or bored, don't rush to fix it. Your brain might already be working on something amazing. If this changed how you think about rest, hit subscribe and tell us in the comments, what's the most interesting idea you've ever had while doing absolutely nothing?